Welcome to another episode of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. I'm your host, Michael. Joining me this week is live from Taiwan, Sean Newton, and new guest, first time on the Pound for Pound Boxing Report YouTube show and podcast, Pot Shot Boxing. How y'all doing?
Good. Doing good, man.
And since you are new to the show, Pot Shot Boxing, I'm going to give you an opportunity right now to introduce yourself and let the folks know about what you do in your blog and your sites and whatever, and let folks know where they can find you.
All right. Hello, boxing world. This is Dana Miller of Pot Shot Boxing. And what I have is basically a boxing website that provide current boxing news and articles for the hardcore and novice boxing fans. You can find me at www.potshotboxing.com. You can also hit me up on Facebook at www.potshotboxing.com/Facebook. You can hit me up at Twitter at www.twitter.com/potshotboxing. Pinterest at www.pinterest.com/potshotboxing. All of the social media entities. But I just a guy that loves boxing. Defense. I'm a defensive style type of boxing fan. But that's pretty much all I got. I'm glad to be on the show tonight.
Yeah, I first got to know Pot Shot on EJ Boxing Live show. We appeared on there, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I believe, and checked out his stuff. He checked out my stuff, liked what each other was doing, and I decided to invite him on the show. And for those who are new to the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, the Pound for Pound Boxing Report is a live YouTube show /podcast /blog that discusses all things boxing. The motto is, when boxing is good, we will talk about it. When boxing is bad, we will talk about it. And there were some bad things happening in boxing this past week, so we will definitely talk about it. The bottom line is, if it concerns boxing, we will talk about it. If you want to find information about the Pound for Pound Boxing, one main place you should go to, that's the Pound for Pound Boxing Report blog page. P4PBoxingReport.wordpress.com is the link. Now repeat that, P4PBoxingReport.wordpress.com is the link. On the blog, you'll find articles and whatnot written by not only yours truly, but also special contributors, Gail Falkenthal of Communities Digital News, and Kayla Lewis on Twitter, aka KBC Live on G+. Also, if you look on the right at the blog page, you'll find links to where to find us all over social media, as well as the new avatar. We got a new look for the Pound for Pound Box Report. As you see, for those who are watching us live and whatnot, who check us out on various pages. Got links to find us on Facebook, on G+, our two G+ sites, on Tumblr, on Podomatic, where you can find all previous episodes of the podcast. The Twitter handle, and the Twitter handle is at P4P Box Report. YouTube, as I said before, Pinterest, RSS feed where you subscribe to, Stitcher Radio. Please go to StitcherRadio.com and just check out the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. That will be POUND, the number 4, POUND Boxing Report. Just check us out there. Check us out, listen to the show, and leave some comments on what we're doing right with the show and how we can improve with the show. We also email for the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. The email is P4PBoxingRPT@gmail.com. I'll repeat that, P4PBoxingRPT@gmail.com. Lastly, our RSS feed where you can subscribe to the Pound for Pound Boxing Report podcast, and a link to where you can donate your account. DonateYourAccount.com/P4P Boxing Report. Be a friend, be a pal, be a buddy. Donate your Twitter account, and what happens is any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page, should you donate your Twitter account would automatically retweet any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page. With those matters out the way, let's get the show started tonight, fellas. Doing a recap of what went down this past week and this past weekend, highlighted by really kind of a treat for boxing geeks and boxing hardcore heads like ourselves, as you had fights both on HBO and on Showtime at the same time. I want to focus on the HBO doubleheader, of course. First, main event of that is Lucas Matthysse scored a very tough win, an exciting fight over Ruslan Provodnikov, winning by majority decision, 115-113 on 2 cards, 114-114 on the third. I go to you on this one, Pot Shot, since you are our guest tonight. When I look at the fight, for me, Provodnikov was tough, but As I was saying last week, his defense has always been suspect. He fights one way. I thought that Matthysse, with his jab or with his movement, will find a way to outbox Provodnikov, and that's what he did. As for large segments of that bout, Provodnikov to me was a punching bag. And in the aftermath, my concern is his future. He took heavy punishment. He posted a pic on Instagram in which he was urinating. It wasn't just blood. It was urinating a black substance almost. His urine was black in the aftermath of the fight. So he took a whole lot of punishment after that fight, even though he said he was fine. Your analysis of the fight, Pot Shot Boxing.
My analysis, pretty much the same, but one thing I noticed about it, like you, to your point, he was Provodnikov only knows one way, and that's straightforward. In that fight, though, Lucas Matthysse did a lot of headhunting. I believe if I love Lucas Matthysse, but one of his problems that he has is he doesn't go to the body enough. I think if he would have went to the body enough, he might have been the first guy to actually stop Ruslan Provodnikov. And that didn't really happen, and that allowed Ruslan to get back in the fight and throw some of those smoking Joe Frazier type hooks to get himself back in the fight. So, but that was pretty much my analysis. It was a great fight, another real good fight for the hardcore boxing fan.
Let me ask you a follow-up question. Do you think he was afraid to go to the body because he didn't want to sit there and get into an inside phone booth warfare with Provodnikov, which is really his forte?
Not really sure, because Matthysse, he's tough as well. He's pretty tough, but another thing about Matthysse, he kind of tires a little bit down the stretch, in my opinion. I think he tires a little bit as well, and I just think if Matthysse can throw to the body a little more, he can be a world beater. In boxing, Matthysse can if he just invests a little more to the body, because Provodnikov was pretty much waiting to be had, even though he's like a piece of iron coming forward most of in most of his fights. But Matthysse should have did more body work, and then tell him what would have happened.
Sean, your thoughts on the fight Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, my prediction was that Matthysse was going to stop him on cuts, and I thought for the first half of the fight, it totally looked like it's going to play out that way. I mean, it's hard to go to the body on a guy like Provodnikov because he's like squat, short, his arms are covering his body, but obviously he got hit with some punches to the body, pissing blood the next day. But, I mean, it was a great fight. It's too bad that Ruslan doesn't listen to his corner a little more. I mean, people were criticizing his corner, saying that Freddie wasn't there and the assistant coach didn't do a very good job. But the instructions he gave him were what he should have done. He should have jabbed his way in, and he should have kept his hands up. I mean, when you're a fighter like him and you get hit to the face so much, you should keep your hands up, and he should work his way in with a jab. I mean, I know he's got short arms, but he just needs to use his jab just to, put something out there, to connect, to sort of make it easier for him to get inside. He was just walking in face first, taking the shots and getting beat down, which almost worked because, I mean, the last couple of rounds, it looked like he was tiring him out. Like you allude, Matthysse looked like he was getting tired, and his big shots started to land, and he looked a little flustered and a little thrown off there the last couple of rounds, sort of looking a little bit in survival mode. But I thought it was a great fight. I mean, I wasn't surprised Matthysse was able to use a jab and outbox him and do what he needed to do. I mean, he's the far better fighter, and he doesn't get really as much credit as he deserves. He's only lost to really skilled fighters and, majority boxers. I mean, Danny did beat him, but I thought, he really sort of, once his eye got swollen up, it sort of took him out a little bit. I would be interested to see that rematch. Not that he would win, but I mean, I think he would fight a little better and probably smarter.
Well, let's talk about the future of Matthysse and of Provodnikov, quite frankly. I forgot to mention this fight took place in Verona, New York, as part of, again, as I said, of HBO doubleheader. they were asking Matthysse who he wanted after the fight. He was mentioning Mayweather or Pacquiao. That seems far-fetched. I don't see that at this moment.
Hey,
In social media,
that's a Mayweather type of opponent right there.
and Mayweather would beat him easily. So again,
Yeah.
and so with Pacquiao, as far as I'm concerned. But the chatter in social media, on Twitter and whatnot, was about a possible rematch with Provodnikov, or maybe fighting Terence Crawford, who we will talk about coming up. I'll go to you on this one, Sean, and then to you, Potshot. The future of Matthysse, where do you see him going?
I can understand why he's calling out the big names. I mean, there's money, you know. I mean, all these guys want to get paid, especially when you're taking like tough fights like that. But you know, I mean, I haven't heard much about him moving up to 147, so I think he still has quite a few fights left at 140, which is great because 140 it really has. I mean, a few guys are leaving. You know, Peterson and Garcia are going to move up, but you have a lot of new fighters moving up as well from 135. Like I just saw today, Rance Bartholomew is now listed in the top 10 at 140. And then Mikey Garcia is supposed to be moving up whenever he can get his legal problems like worked out. And then you have Terence Crawford, and you have Iman, who looked great as well. I mean, that division is full of great fights. So, you know, I mean, it'd be nice to see him in there with somebody, but I don't know if I want to see a Ruslan rematch. Ruslan against maybe Rios would be nice. You know, at least this way it would give Ruslan somebody who wasn't going to box. So he wouldn't have to worry about like that so much.
Go ahead, finish up, Sean.
As far as Matthysse, I mean, you know, somebody was saying that he should fight Crawford, but Crawford just had his first fight there, so it'd be nice to sort of build that up. Maybe put them on like a co-feature and, you know, make it like 2 fights down the road.
Your thoughts, Potshot, on the future of both Matthysse and Provodnikov?
Well, with Provodnikov, I think the only fight. Well, he's just a one-way fighter. So with Provodnikov, his future should just be against other heavy bag opponents to make great fights. As far as Matthysse, I would like him to see him against Crawford or anybody at 140. Like I said, just if he can work on just going to the body more, because he has controlled aggression. Even in the fight with Provodnikov, it was I actually picked Matthysse too because both fighters are aggressive, but I just thought that Matthysse was the more controlled, aggressive fighter. So I would like to see him against anybody at 140 if he can just work on his body work.
Let's move on to talk about the undercard bout. Well, the first bout, not really undercard technically, but
The main event.
yeah, the co-feature, put it that way, that took place in Arlington, Texas. Terence Crawford scoring a explosive 6-round TKO win over Thomas Dulorme. I look at this fight, fellas, and Crawford, he didn't fight his A game, and yet he still was impressive to me. He gave away a couple of rounds early, I think, in order to study Dulorme and try kind of find his bearings as he's moving up to 140. But starting in round 3, 4, once he started to figure things out, he started to establish the jab. He started to get home with the right hand, mixing combinations up and down, started to move him, give Dulorme angles, and the right hand early in the round 6, and the finishing combination that finished that took Dulorme out. Beautiful display. Sean, your thoughts on how Terence Crawford looked in his moving officially up to 140, in which he, by the way, I should mention, won the vacant, I think, WBO title at 140 pounds.
Well, my prediction was what? Stoppage, 6 rounds. What happened? Stoppage, 6 rounds. The better fighter won. I mean, I wasn't surprised early on that Dulorme took a few of the early rounds. Crawford always is a little bit of a slow starter. He sort of likes to sit back and see what he has to deal with and then adapt and change. You know, not unlike Floyd, right? You know, I mean, guys look good early, and then once he sort of figures them out, then he makes adjustments, and then he sort of pushes forward. What he showed, which is great, because I mean, you know, early on, which was not really a fair criticism. People were saying that, you know, he looked like maybe he was going to be a boring sort of boxer and mover type of fighter. But I think that only happened in really one fight. Styles make fights. And he came out and he faced a boxer who was long and had good skills, and he was able to read him, and then he was able to take him out. And once he hurt him, he didn't give him a chance. He finished him, which is excellent, which is what we love to see. You know, a guy with that killer instinct and the ability to go in there and control himself and like get a guy out of there when he's hurt.
Your thoughts, Pot Shot, on how Crawford performed?
Yeah. Sort of to both of you all guys' points. You know, Crawford just sort of felt them out in those first couple of rounds, and I was a little worried in the beginning because I'm just really starting to see a little bit more of Crawford. So I was a little worried about those first couple of rounds, but now that I know that he kind of just sort of feels his way through, just to fill out the fighter to see where he's at before he goes in and just explodes on him, which is what he did right at round 5 when it looked like Dulorme was actually winning the fight because of the 2 rounds that he gave away. You know, Crawford, you know, hits him with that 1-2 in the 6th. And you know, gets him out of there, and you know, the referee, you know, stopped the fight. So, but Crawford's going to be, he's going to be a great fighter. He's going to be one of the greats, and we just got to just keep
Some audio
sort
going
of
here.
working
There we
on.
go. I think it's on. How you doing?
Yeah,
What's
join
going
us live.
on?
Yeah, join us live as Gail Falcanthala Communities.
Sorry for the late arrival. I had to
No problem.
feed
No
a few
problem.
No
dogs.
problem.
Yeah, finish your point, Pot Shot. Finish your point, Pot Shot.
That was pretty much it. Just to say that you know, Terence Crawford's going to be one of the great fighters, you know, in the future. Again, just based on how he feels you out in the first couple of rounds, and then he explodes on you once he knows the tendencies of his opponent.
I'll go to you on this one, Gail, since you just joined us. We were talking about Terence Crawford and his win over Dulorme Saturday night. 140. He was also talking about Matthysse's win over Provodnikov on the main event. Your thoughts on both bouts? Can you hear us, Gail? Can you hear us, Gail? Okay. Gail can't hear us right now.
Okay.
I'll go to you on this one, Sean and Pot Shot. How do you rank Crawford right now at 140 pounds? I personally think that right now he may be the best fighter in the division already.
I thought he was the best fighter at 140 when he was champion at 135, so nothing has changed. I mean, he showed that he was a good 140 fighter when he beat Prescott, you know, years ago. So it wasn't like he couldn't make the weight and couldn't do what he did. So that was no surprise. I mean, the good thing is, like I said, there's some good fighters, and I mean not just like flat-footed slugging guys. I mean skilled fighters, you know, that are coming up and are at that weight. Guys that are similar to him, you know, very skilled, long jabs, good movement, you know, lots of ability. And these guys will be good challenges for him because, I mean, none of those guys are easy touches. Like I was saying, Iman looks very good. You know, he's got a great jab, lots of power. I mean, he's young, but I mean, he looks very skilled and only a couple fights away from that level. And then the guy that I mentioned that's from 135, who, you know, nobody wants to fight him at 135 because he's so skilled with that Cuban style. And now he's going to come up to 140 and give Crawford another tough opponent. So those fights, I mean, they might be a little very clinical, not so viewer-friendly, but I mean, it just shows you there's quite a few great fights there for him.
Your thoughts, Pot Shot?
Yeah, I believe Terence Crawford has what it takes to clean out 140. He's just a great fighter right now. But I think he has the tools to clean out 140 pounds right now. I think he's the best 140 pounder in the division.
Gail, can you hear us now?
Yes, I sure can.
Okay, your thoughts on Crawford's win, stoppage of Dulorme, as well as Matthyse's win over Provodnikov?
You know, it's funny. We all thought the Matthysse Provodnikov fight was going to be the big one of the weekend, but to me, it was the Crawford fight that was the most impressive. He just stalked his prey. He'd lie in wait like a, bringing back a nickname from the past, he was like a mongoose just sitting there, waiting, watching, observing the eventual victim. And when he decided to strike, boom, it was over. Incredibly impressive. More so than, a flat-out just knockdown, drag-out, which the Matthysse Provodnikov fight, was not up to our high standards of some of those types of fights in the past. It was Crawford's performance to me that was the standout of the weekend. Even above and beyond Andrzej Fonfara, who really just wiped the floor with Chavez Jr., which was just an ugly, ugly fight.
And we will talk about that fight in a little bit. The future of Matthysse and Crawford, Gail. In what direction do you see both fighters going?
Crawford has the world on a string. HBO knows they've got a star. They're going to take good care of him. They're going to put some decent folks in front of him. And I like how he handles himself. I like his attitude. He seems to be the type of guy that wants to take on all comers. Come what may. And there are a lot of good fights to be made for him at 140. It's going to be very exciting to watch. I don't think he's quite ready to tackle a Danny Garcia from a promotional standpoint, but I think he could handle him easily at this point.
Oh, I agree. I think right now that Crawford is already the top dog at 140 pounds. Personally, I think he may be one of the best 10 fighters in the world, pound for pound. That's how I'm impressed with him. As far as Matthysse, what do you see for him?
Matthysse is a fighter people like to see. So you look a little less at the record with him and a lot more at the entertainment value that he brings to a fight. I think he'd like to have a shot at Garcia, and I'd like to see him have another shot at Garcia to get a little redemption. I think the outcome might be a lot different this time.
Okay, let's move on. You mentioned Chavez Jr. Let's talk about that specific card. Went down in Carson, California, Saturday night on Showtime. And I'm going to go to you on this one, Sean, because we went back and forth. I wouldn't predicted that Fonfara would be Chavez. I just didn't see it with Chavez. I've never seen it. Fonfara, he had his way with Chavez. The key for me, once Andrzej Fonfara, who scored a 9th round TKO stoppage of Chavez Jr., who I don't care what anybody say, he quit. Once Fonfara was able to handle Chavez on the inside, the fight was over. The fight was over because I had an inkling that he would be able to outbox Chavez from the outside. And as I was saying last week, this is what happens when it comes to Chavez when you fight a guy close to your size or maybe slightly bigger, who you cannot bully, who you cannot physically dominate. And join us live right now, EJ Boxing Live. What's up, brother?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Just listening. Great, man. How you doing, guys?
And like I was saying, once Chavez was up against a guy who he could not physically dominate, who he could not physically bully, who was his equal in size, and who had any amount of skills, he was in trouble. And that would prove itself to be Saturday night. Fonfara, he established the jab. He was able to outfight Chavez on the inside, and the body work that Chavez did didn't amount to much of anything. And by the fifth, sixth round, to me, Chavez was tired. He was getting fatigued. And Fonfara, and I'll go to you with Sean, because you predicted Chavez. I still don't understand why. Fonfara had his way with him. It was a dominant way by Fonfara over Chavez. It was pretty much easy work.
Hey, I'm not a big Chavez proponent, but I mean, when he was with Al Heyman, and this is the first fight on the card to pushing a guy who you paid money for and you want to build up and has a big following, I always thought Fonfara was limited. You know, stand in front of you, straight up, very European style. And I figured Chavez would have came in and been a little more prepared and done a better job than he did. But yeah, I mean, he was totally exposed. That it's true. You know, he can't fight guys his own size because he just doesn't have enough tools in his box. And he didn't look prepared for anything. I mean, he could not adjust. He could not do anything. And he got frustrated and as soon as he could. You know, so, you know, I'm not sad, truthfully, because I think it's kind of funny, you know, that Al Heyman steals this guy from him because he's a big draw and then he loses his first fight. Heyman, so whatever, okay. You know, I hope you made lots of money on that. I mean, as far as Chavez, you know, that's his last big money fight. Maybe he can get one more against somebody just based on hype. But, you know, I mean, nobody's calling for him because we always knew that he was never a dedicated, serious fighter.
I might go to you on this one, EJ. Your thoughts on the fight, and were you laughing along with me, giving Chavez Jr.'s explanation, or thought that he felt he was winning the fight when he was being interviewed afterwards?
Absolutely. Chavez is hilarious. There was someone that left a comment that Chavez got hit so hard that he didn't even know he thought he won the fight. That's how hard he got hit in the fight. And you know, Chavez coming into that fight, I knew he was going to lose. I already picked Fonfara. I actually rate Fonfara very highly. And going into the Stevenson fight, I had Fonfara giving him a tough challenge, which he did. If you know anything about Fonfara, I know he's got sort of way up the European style, but he's very strong. He gave Glenn Johnson a very hard fight. After that fight, Glenn Johnson said he retirement, but then he came back and fought George Groves. But Fonfara was a very decent, solid, light heavyweight. Not the greatest, but tell you, he'll give anyone. He reminds me of like a Joey Maxson type of guy. Solid, you know what I mean? Not very the best, but he listen, if you're not on your game, he'll beat you. I already knew he was going to lose.
Great analysis. Great comparison.
Yeah, I already knew he was going to lose because you could, if you know, us guys are boxing. If you look on his last two fights, he basically lost. He lost the fight with Thing because they didn't want to do that. They made a draw. He went back in a rematch. Obviously, Vera is not the same guy. They call him out of shape, and you know that fight was just terrible. So you knew, if anyone knew anything about boxing, you know. But obviously the legend, they compare him to his dad. Listen, when he got into the fight, and I should have put my money down, it was a sure thing for me. But I didn't expect the stoppage. I did not expect the stoppage, and I did not expect to quit on his stool and complain. That there, yeah, is gold. I mean, there was fights in the weekend, but I'm telling you, that overshadowed everything. It was hilarious. I was sitting there laughing. Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said? Because yeah, I want a rematch. I thought I won the fight. Jim Gray's face, you know, that is gold, right? He looked at he's yuppie. That day, yeah, it was hilarious. And then the daddy was, you know what? A lot of Mexican people are hurt and upset by it, you know. And then you have a translation of him saying, "Oh, yeah, I don't want to fight no more. Oh, it's so bad." But you know what? This shows you boxing is a hard man sport. It isn't for anyone. If you're not disciplined, not trained properly, this is what happens. Regardless of weight, the guy you and him was around the same size. Is that you're used to bullying guys because you've come down into their weight class where you're stronger. And to be honest with you, even though, I mean, look at Martinez when he fought Martinez. Martinez had more skills, and more skills always win. It's just that the size of he has the advantage usually. He probably gets him through the fights. And everyone's talking about his chin and that. Boy, it was good to see that. It was good. Boxing won out for me. And to be honest with you, Chavez Jr., if I was him, I'd retire, because wherever you go from now, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for you to go down the weight. That means you're going to come in. You might come in weak. Then in the weight class you're in now, you're going to get beat because there's some decent upper opponents. Why you put him against Burby? That would be interesting. You know what I'm trying to say, like, or something like that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. It's like his dad told him don't go in a fight, but you know his dad's smart. Like, you know, fight some cab drivers. build up the name, keep the bandwagon going. But you know what? It's good he got what he got. It's good he got what he got. So for me, I already picked Fonfara, but I didn't pick Fonfara to win by stoppages. And I don't know why Fonfara wants to fight Stevenson. He should go off the Kovalev, in my opinion. You know, he's fought Stevenson already, and I'm sure his pride is saying, well, he wants a rematch. But in my opinion, I think he should go off the Kovalev. I'd love to see that fight. I'd love to see him and Kovalev to see if he see what he can do with that fight, because he's already gone the distance with Stevenson. He dropped Stevenson, so let's see what he can do against Kovalev. So that's my take on it.
To your point about Chavez in the future, look, he's not beating any of the top dogs at 175. He's just too small. He will get stopped again by Kovalev or Stevenson or Bertillon.
Stopped again. He hasn't been stopped yet.
According to him. According to him.
Sorry, Chavez you were talking about. Sorry,
I'm talking about Chavez.
Oh, yeah.
According to him, the fight should have been stopped. He was winning the fight, so he was, that goes, yeah. At 68, he's not beating Froch. He's not beating Ward. At catchweight with Triple G, he's not beating him. So his future is up in the air right now. I'll go to you on this one, Gail. When we had the women's show with you and Giangelo LaBuffalo back on your.net, you ladies talked about the fight, and you said that do not be surprised that not only if that Fonfara would win, you ladies also said that don't be surprised if he stopped Chavez Jr. I'm going to give you the floor right now to kind of humble brag here and talk about you kind of predicted this 2 weeks ago. You predicted this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was pathetic, honestly. And I'd be the first to tell you that prior to the fight, I said to everyone, yeah, I would really like to see that young man's clock get cleaned good. His work ethic is terrible. He's the worst 48-2 fighter on the planet. And
your mommy interrupted. 35 days with Goosen, and you call that preparation?
Exactly. When I heard that number, my jaw dropped. 35 days to prepare for a fight after you've been off for 13 months? Give me a break. When that bell sounded and he walked to the center of the ring, Fonfara ran straight at him, threw a punch with bad intentions, and it went downhill for Chavez from there. He looked horrible. If a Mexican guy can look pasty, he looked pasty. He looked white compared to me. I don't know if he was scared or what the deal was. It was plain ugly. It was an embarrassment for his father, for his entire team, and that is not to take anything away from Fonfara's performance, which I thought was tremendous. What I really liked about Fonfara's performance was his ability to put together a series of punches. And the knockdown of Chavez was just a super uppercut, setting him up. He spun about a quarter of a turn, put him perfectly in position for Fonfara from the back foot to smack him with a right hook flush. And it is rare that you see a boxer's knees completely lock up after being hit. But Chavez did, and he barely managed to bend them to break his fall as he sat straight back. It was almost like a bad cartoon, where the guy comes up and then just goes bang. It was amazing. The fans, which were, it was about 3/4 of the house, were there to see Chavez. In fact, frankly, I was rather surprised at the good crowd that was drawn, because the undercard was middling at best. And there was a soccer game going on in the stadium next door, so we didn't think the house would be full, but pretty much was. Sizable contingent of very vocal fans for Fonfara who were having the time of their lives, waving their red and white flags and wearing their desert camouflage, and they made themselves very well known. But when Chavez quit on the stool, my dear colleague, Miss LaBeouf, said, listen, if this thing's over, you better cover up all your stuff and get your computer back in its case, because we're going to get rained on. And sure enough,
I reached out to y'all. Did you get? They would make it safe.
I'll
He's got
tell
to,
you,
y'all. We able to make it out there.
flying. Perfectly good beers being thrown on the ground. I hate it when that happens. But we were in the clear, but a lot of the fans were not. It was a very angry crowd, angry at what they'd seen. To lose is one thing, but to just flat out give up. And unfortunately for him, Showtime caught the dialogue in the corner with Goosen, with him saying he didn't want to continue, and the excuse was his leg hurt. Well, his leg, maybe he stretched a calf muscle falling down the way he did, but that was about it. Bottom line is, he was out of condition, he had no business being there. This is a guy, unfortunately damned by expectations and damned by his father's name, and he needs to find something else to do in life, somewhere where he can succeed. This is not it. Maybe he goes up as cannon fodder against Triple G just to get one last payday. Fans in LA will pay to see that fight. Based on what I saw this weekend, he has no business going in the ring with Golovkin. None at all. Golovkin would wipe the floor with that poor kid. It's time for him to quit. For good.
Dana, Potshot Boxing, do you see any future for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.? And should Fonfara secure a rematch with Stevenson? How do you think he would do?
With as far as Chavez goes, it just depends on his work ethic leading up to a fight. I think if he gets that together, I give him a shot again. I mean, I give him a shot if he just gets his work ethic together. Sometimes you look at him and you don't know if he's even serious about fighting. For that fight with Fonfara, his dad pretty much told him he should have listened to his father. His father said, "Don't take the fight." Maybe he should. The great Julio Cesar Chavez knows what he's talking about. He should have listened to his father. But as far as Fonfara goes, it was Chavez, and again, another one of those straightforward type of fighters. So not sure about the future of Fonfara if he wants to fight Stevenson again. To EJ's point, he did knock down Stevenson in their fight, and he gave Stevenson a little bit of a go, but not sure what lies ahead for Fonfara as far as the big names at 175. He just ran into an overstuffed middleweight, in my opinion, as far as Chavez goes. So,
what about a fight with Bertobiev?
That might be a good fight.
Let's move on and talk about the undercard. I didn't see all of this bout, so I'm gonna leave it up to y'all. Miriam Mom scoring a 10-round winner with Walter Castillo. I'll go back to you. I'll go to you on this one, EJ. Did you see the fight, bro?
Which fight again? Sorry.
Emir Imam, his win over Castillo.
Yeah.
I'll let you start off the. I'll let you start off the conversation about this because I haven't seen all of it. From what I've read, he was fairly impressive here. Your thoughts on your analysis of Imam's win over Castillo and how he looked?
Yeah, he looked pretty good. He did what I expected him to do. Just go in there. He took his time. Just broke the goal down. You know what? I was so overshadowed by the Chavez bit. Did it go to point? I was watching it again because I was lazy. I think he stopped him. He stopped him, didn't it?
No, Imam, he scored a 10-round win. Unanimous.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, he went. Yeah, he looked pretty good. Obviously for his fans and obviously he's New York native. He put on a good show. Working his jab, working to the body. Yeah, it was a decent performance, man. Yeah, the thing is, he's coming on. A lot of people think he's gonna do stuff and do stuff in his weight class, but for me, it was a very good, solid opponent, and he just did what he had to do. But I'm still buzzing about the Chavez film, but it was a good solid win for him. It's a good solid win for him. Can't complain. Let's see who he fights next. Hopefully, he might get stepped up to go opponent. So let's see who we're going to fight next. It'll be interesting.
Gail, Sean, Dana, your thoughts on the fight on Imam's winning? Where do you see him amongst the 140-pound landscape, which is really becoming a terrific division. Anybody can chime in.
I thought he looked great. I mean, he's like one of the big prospects in boxing, and I mean, he showed you why. The guy he was fighting was a really good opponent. He came in shape. He was also tall, rangy. I mean, much more of an aggressive, like, put-it-on-you fighter, good left hook. He didn't have huge power, but, I mean, he was landing a lot of shots, putting a lot of pressure on Iman, forcing him to show his tools. I mean, of course, we know he's got a long, snappy jab, and he used a lot of that. But he also showed some good inside work when he got pushed against the ropes, little short inside work. He looked great. I mean, and I think it was a perfect opponent for him because the guy came, he was tough. It wasn't an easy fight, a walkthrough. He needed to use skills to win. I mean, he won easily, but I mean, it wasn't like it was an easy fight.
Gail, Dana?
I missed the question, so you're going to have to repeat it for me. It sounds like you're asking about Beterbiev.
No, asking you about Imam, your assessment of his win over Castillo, and where do you see him amongst the 140-pound landscape?
It was a decent win. I think it wasn't his strongest performance, but hey, you get the numbers on paper, and you're good to go and to move on. I hope he learned something from it. Castillo was definitely a tough customer, held up well to the punishment. It's interesting. There was quite an indifference to this fight among the crowd, and maybe they were all waiting for Chavez. They were more attentive for some of the other undercard fights, interestingly enough. So, I think that part of the issue is he's still going to need to build a little bit of a fan base to get some decent fights.
Hot shot.
Oh, okay. I didn't really see that fight, so I really don't have too much to say about that one.
I'm going to see you on this one, EJ. I'll go back to you. Where do you see Imam amongst the top dogs at 140 pounds?
Is that to me?
EJ, can you hear us?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't see. I'm not really that on Imam, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and he's still a prospect until he steps up and fights someone where he's trying to challenge for the chip. Like, I can't really say. Couldn't really say. I ain't overly impressed with him, like, in terms of prospect. Like, he ain't really showing me anything in that. This guy, you know what I'm saying? He's not really showing me something like Errol Spence. He ain't showing me nothing like that. So, like, I couldn't really say where he's gonna go. I have to just wait. You know what I mean? He could be Jesse Vargas, you know what I'm saying? Or he could be a banger, but he isn't really showing me anything impressive to say. But, the opponent he fought, like Sean said, was a harder opponent that he fought before, so I couldn't really say where he's going to go. I'm not really...
Go ahead, finish off, EJ. I forgot. I'm sorry for interrupting.
He's been booted.
Oh, okay. He left. What you was going to say, Sean? You was going to chime in with something?
Well, I was just going to say he's a pot shots type of fighter, I mean, he's the guy that sort of fights behind the shoulder, I mean, he's a good fighter, real long reach. I mean, he's still young, right, and still growing into his body. He's got some power, but I mean, like the guy he fought, he took all his shots and made it a tough fight. And I think he was sort of surprised because he's had his way with most guys, and this guy, he wasn't going anywhere. He came to win. Tough Nicaraguan guy, and he was in there to get the victory. So I mean, I think it's the perfect kind of fight for him. I think his next opponent, even a bigger name, I think he could look great against a bigger name because not everyone's going to be as tough as the guy he just fought. Even though maybe they have more skills, and maybe a more skilled fighter will make him shine a little better.
We can move on. Let's move on to the news. The big news of the week, of course, is. Hello? Go ahead, EJ. You was wanting to finish. I'll let you finish what you were saying before you kind of had some technical difficulties. What you was going to say?
Hello.
We hear you. Can you hear us? EJ Boxing Live, can you hear us? I guess he can't. Let's move on to the news. The big news of the week that kind of took over everything boxing, of course, is, for those who don't know, there's been a lot of discussion for negotiations for a fight between Sergey Kovalev and Adonis Stevenson at 175 pounds unification bout. We reported last week that the initial negotiations was kind of ended because Kovalev's side kind of stepped away. A lot of back and forth between that. Well, this weekend, Sergey Kovalev posted a tweet, an ugly tweet, an offensive tweet, I will say a racist tweet, no doubt about it in my mind, of him and a kid, and the kid had a T-shirt on with Adonis Stevenson's body, and he had Adonis Stevenson's face looking like a gorilla. Sent folks in the boxing world in a frenzy, highly upset, highly ticked off. Stevenson, for his part, kind of played the high role. He responded by saying, paraphrasing that, we're trying to make a fight, and he directed at Sergey Kovalev saying, keep it above the belt. A lot of discussion here, back and forth on various channels, on various social boxing channels on YouTube and on Twitter and whatnot. A lot of back and forth discussion. Can you hear us, EJ?
Yeah, sorry about that. Technical.
Okay, I'll go to you on this one because I first saw this news, this ugly incident, this racist incident as far as I'm concerned, on your show, as you talked about it with your crew, Boxing Beats and Rhymes, Mr. Natty Turner himself, and whatnot. Since I saw it first on your show, I'm going to give you the floor to give your opinion of the tweet, and as well as what happened afterwards and the apology, which I believe happened today, I believe it was. Yesterday.
Yeah, when I first came across it, Natty posted it up, and I saw it, and we covered it. But you know what? It's divided opinion to some people. When certain people believe it was it racist or was it stereotype, and we was debating it backwards and forwards, and you know, other people bring comparisons, maybe Ali, Bernard Hopkins, stuff like that, and I was saying to them at the time, that, but even when they did that, no one was defending like Bernard Hopkins, and no one was defending, and Ali was obviously different circumstances when he was doing it with Joe Frazier. I didn't hear people come out and say, yeah, Ali's doing the right thing. It wasn't like that. But with the Kovalev situation, of what he came out with, the picture of the, I think it was a chimpanzee on his T-shirt with his little son. It's like people were condoning it, saying, well, other people done it. It's like, nah, it's not right. Like it's wrong. And you know what he did there, I can see where he's coming from, some point of anger that obviously the negotiators broke down, and he's trying to vent his anger. And you look at it, you think, and two people, to me, I was let down. I was like, you know, he's a good boxer, got good skills. But when it goes into this year, it's going into something that, you know, it gets ugly. And now it's not boxing no more. We're talking about obviously race, and obviously Kovalev's got his fans, and they will say, well, this guy does that, and then other people like, well, it's wrong, and it's just divided and stuff like that. Bottom line, hopefully he's going to end in the ring, and obviously Kovalev's apology. When I heard his apology, I think he actually took it himself. He tried to do a good job. He goes, I've talked to my American colleagues, and they said it's wrong. You know, where he grew up and thing. He basically said where he grew up in Russia. That's how he is. He didn't even think there was anything wrong with it. And I was like, oh my days. I was like, first off, I don't want to go to that part in Russia, first and foremost. And secondly, I was thinking to myself,
right.
Secondly, I was thinking, you obviously it was deliberate, you know, because before it was like it was ambiguous, yeah, to say the least, to see what maybe he mean it or he didn't mean it. We were not too sure, but no, he actually meant it, and he actually tweeted, and I was like, oh, all right, so you actually mean what you say. So it's like now it's a case of a lot of people were against Stevenson. Now, if anything, he's actually brought some fans maybe back on Stevenson, thinking, well, maybe we want to see Kovalev get his ass up. But the bottom line is going to end in the ring. Hopefully end in the ring, and all this could be cleared up. And on the bottom line, hopefully they fight really soon. But for people who want to sit there and defend it and blame Ali and blame other things, no. All of it there is wrong. But the bottom line is that I didn't see people cheering up. I didn't see little kids walk around with Gorilla beating up Gorilla. Bernard Hopkins said that obviously he'd never lose to a white guy, but he did. He did, like, so, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, but with Kovalev thing, you know what really makes you sicken is the fact that the t-shirt, if he wore the t-shirt himself, like, using your son in the thing, it's like, so, in the tweet, he's addressing that he thinks is wrong, but then are you addressing to your son that what you did was wrong? So basically passing on whatever anger and thing and that into your son, and that there was sickening. That is twisted to say the least. And you know what? I couldn't get anyone get out of it. But at least he tweeted himself. He didn't get no PR person. He tweeted himself, and maybe people might think that obviously his English is bad. No. He actually meant what he said, from what I understand for the tweet. And Kovalev, to be honest with you, is you know what? To be honest with you, I think people will give him a pass. To be honest with you, like, and I'm not gonna hold grudges on the guy. You know, he said what he said. He has to live with it. I don't have to live with it. I don't think anyone should sit there and prejudge anyone, because I'm sure some people have done it themselves. But the bottom line is that what he said was wrong, and everyone should come out with, not give excuses of what I'm hearing over the YTBC. A lot of excuses. Let's go. He's wrong. What he did was there. It was out of order, and hopefully, you know, in the ring he gets a good old-fashioned beating, and that's what we're gonna hear from it. So hopefully, I mean, if he beats Stevenson, he beats Stevenson. I mean, there's nothing more you can do. He continues, but it's not a good look, and you know, he has to suffer for it, not me. I'm not gonna sit there and buy my time and be burdened by it, cause Kovalev, man. My life continues, and I'm good, man. So
yeah, let me read the official apology from Kovalev, and warning is because it's written in kind of broken English, and I have issues with that. I'm a little suspicious of the words that he decided to use and the way he used the tweet, but I'll read it anyway. I apologize for my tweet about Adonis Stevenson. I really did not know it was bad. Last few days, my friends at main events teach me some history about the United States. It's very difficult it is very different from where I grew up in Chelyabinsk.
Yeah.
I still learning here, so I make mistakes, but now I understand. I hope you forgive me my mistake. I will not do this. Yeah, I will not do this again. I'll go to you on this one, Gail. We talked about this. We had a conversation about this on Twitter Sunday night. Your thoughts on this whole saga with Kovalev's ugly tweets and the response throughout boxing landscape. And for me, let me ask this question: the lack of response from sports media, mainstream boxing media, and mainstream sports media. I mean, you have. I'm hoping Dan Rafael says something in response to this on Friday Night Fight.
Dan Rafael, sorry to interrupt before, Gal. Dan Rafael's actually supported Kovalev. He actually supports the apology. He thinks it's okay. So, you know, you see when he put it out, the apology, Dan Rafael says, "Well, I understand. So it's okay." So.
Oh, okay, I'll repeat that. But again, you have a lot of other mainstream sports shows when there's any kind of incidents, not even close to being this ugly, they will respond. Where's the commentary from First Take? Where's the commentary from Around the Horn? Party interruption. Let me finish, because this is part of what upsets me. Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless.
Especially First Take, yeah.
They love to brag about how they will talk about any issue, how they will talk about racial motivations. Where are you at? Are you so far up Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather's behind that anything else boxing-wise doesn't mean a damn thing to you? Michael Wilbon, Kornheiser of Party Interruption. Where you at? Around the Horn. Where you at? Sports Center. Where are you? Where have you been? Fox Sports 1. Where have you been?
But you know, go ahead.
Yeah, there we go. First of all, I think there's two things working against hearing this in a more mainstream media fashion. Number one, the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight is the big topic. Boxing has finally got a national and international stage right now. And I can bet you anything that the powers that be at these networks are saying, "Oh my God, we don't want to talk about anything ugly right now because we want the fans all think everything's great and boxing has matured and we're all happy waiting for the fight and everyone's more or less playing nice." Manny and Money's comments have been fairly mild considering. Up to now, so God forbid we get into anything ugly, and
that's a sad indictment. That's a sad
make
indictment.
the sport look bad. That's number one. Number two, I do also think that when I worked in the news business, we had an interesting, and I will call it this, a quota system. We didn't want any one newscast too overloaded with any one type of news. Now, never mind if the headlines on a particular day were all about crime or all about politics. We had to divide it up. And I think a lot of the network folks are thinking, man, we're already risking losing audience by giving so much time to boxing. And here we've got another ugly incident. We don't really want to make boxing look bad, or we don't want to be using up more of our precious airtime because God knows we need to be talking about the NBA and the NHL playoffs, and it's fallen off the radar for that reason. I think it's less that they've chosen to look aside. I do think the boxing writers who make their living 24/7 should be weighing in one way or the other.
Absolutely, they should.
Yeah.
And it's sad that they're not.
Yeah, and they're not. And here's where I stand about that in my particular case. In case any of you haven't noticed, just making sure everyone gets it, I am a white woman of privilege, okay? I am a white woman. All right? And I can observe this. I can follow it. I can put it in a historical context, which I do. It made me think back to when the boxing announcer Howard Cosell got ripped several times on Monday Night Football.
And if you don't mind, excuse me, Gail, what I'm doing right now, excuse me for interrupting, I'm highlighting, keep that up, EJ. I'm highlighting for those who are watching us live on YouTube. I'm going to keep that up while you're talking so people can read Kovalev's tweet specifically. Go on, Gail.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this and watching people who have no idea what it's like to be the recipient of a comment like that weighing in. I can't possibly tell someone, you don't have the right to feel offended by this. If this is aimed at you and it offends you in context because of the racial overtones, then it's a racist comment. The receiver of the comment gets to decide, not the person who made the comment, especially the person who made the comment who has there's no reciprocal way a similar comment could come back at Kovalev. Do we call him, a potato eater, and that's supposed to be insulting? I mean, if he is told in good faith, listen, that's offensive, he needs to say, I apologize, thanks for educating me, won't happen again, and move on. What disturbed me most was, I will grant people the right to make a mistake, but it took him a long time to apologize. I don't know if there was a discussion behind the scenes with Kathy Duva and folks at Main Events deciding, well, do we let it go and try to let this thing blow over? And if we can't, how do we position it? The truth is, people who want to give him the benefit of the doubt, they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt no matter what he says. I think the apology was absolutely necessary. It was a little late for my taste, but nobody has the right to defend the comment unless it's aimed at you. Bottom line. I will absolutely not defend it, get in anyone's face for being offended by that and saying, oh, you need to lighten up. No, that's not for me to say. This is not the arena that I should be involved in. From that level, responding. I need to listen to the people I know who do feel it's aimed at them, and if they tell me, listen, that offends me, that's all I need to hear.
Pot shot boxing, your response.
Yeah, I actually agree. It's for me, it's offensive. But I think I guess the question should be, did Kovalev actually know what he was doing? Was it learned or was it unlearned?
Well, his apology it implies that it is learned and he did know what he was doing.
That he knew he was doing. Well, then that's it's a shame for such a. He's on the cusp of being a real good fighter, and it's just a shame that that Kovalev feels that way, or would have that picture, and that was with his son. Is that correct? The
Yeah,
picture.
I'll bring the picture up in it. Yeah, it's a picture of his
Okay.
son in it. Yeah.
Yeah, do that for me, EJ. Do that.
I'll bring the picture up. I'll bring up. Go ahead, go ahead, D. Then carry on then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then that's just actually just disappointing. Because myself, I really like Sergey Kovalev, and I just hope that he really is, apology. I mean, I really hope that he's sorry for what his actions, and hopefully apologize to his son. That's number one, because things, when it comes to racial topics, or those things are learned. So I just hope in the future that he can first of all apologize to his son, apologize, and I hope it's a sincere apology to Adonis Stevenson and the world for putting that picture up.
Sean, unmute your mic, Sean.
Hello. Yes, when I saw the post, I thought it was disappointing and unfortunate because, I mean, boxing at this point is a lot of great positive things are going on, and then to have an ignorant mime or meme like this come out, at this time, I mean, and it puts everything back towards a negative sort of perspective, which, is unfortunate because now boxing is on an upswing and there's only lots of positive things going on, and then it's a shame to have this kind of negativity sort of get out there and then push everything towards race as opposed to all the good things that are going on. I mean, I can understand why Kovalev fans would feel disappointed because it was a pretty ignorant and stupid thing for him to do. And it's too bad his people weren't around early enough so they could have stopped such a sort of boneheaded move on his part. And, I can understand why people feel offended. I just hope that, it doesn't, on the YTBC, it ends up being this race thing that goes back and forth. So, I mean, for me, it's sort of disappointing to see that as well because I'd rather just focus on the positive things and not.
Yeah, exactly. You just focus on the positives. Even with Sergey Kovalev, we can only kind of I'm not going to focus on that outside incident that happened because he's going to be a great fighter. So with me, I can focus on his boxing ability and just try to move forward.
Let me say this. In boxing, as much as in life, sadly, there is a current of racism, bias, and prejudice. In my lifetime, going back to Holmes and Cooney in '82, when there was a racial undercurrent. And let me highlight the official tweet. And thanks for EJ for showing us the pic. I'm showing it right now for the YouTube watchers live. Going back, as I was saying, going back to the Combs in '82 bout, Holmes and Cooney bout in '82, where there was a racial undercurrent. Then done by Don King somewhat, but particularly by Cooney's camp. By Cooney's camp, they was really ugly with it. If we see it in little incidents here and there, you may not want to focus on it, but I do, because what he said and did does matter. It is part and parcel of him as a fighter, as a person, and that person is what makes him as a fighter. What annoys me is not just the defenders of Kovalev being quote unquote disappointed, it's the fact that they're going the extra mile to defend this nonsense. And the fact that Kovalev went to such an extent. He could have done a t-shirt with this kid of him, Adonis Stevenson's body, and his head of a chicken. He could have done a T-shirt of Adonis Stevenson's body, have him a punk, coward. But to go this where,
as a duck already,
right, or a duck, whatever. To go here and have his face imposed of a chimpanzee, that took effort, that took intent. And in my opinion, I don't give a damn what anybody says. And if you wanna leave my show or not watch my show anymore, so be it. I hate it for you, but I'm gonna move on. It was racist. There was no doubt about it. I know folks say, well, Kovalev, he's not racist, and his manager said he's not racist. Well, guess what? You cannot be a racist and still perform an act that is racist and bigotry in effect. And before the apology, Kovalev, he put up a picture of him, his trainer John David Jackson, and Bernard Hopkins. You know what that spelled to me?
Wow.
It was a point of deflection, basically saying, look at my good black friend, so what I did, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
I mean, that's when you hear the remarks of people saying, oh, you know, some of my best friends are. You fill in the blank. I mean,
And you had some...
Come on.
And you had some morons try to use that, including one moron who I refuse to sully my show by mentioning his name. But a moron who went on YouTube last night put up a 4 or 5 minute video trying to defend Kovalev, and to your point, Gail, trying to don't mention his name. I refuse to have his name mentioned on my show.
I don't know. I know you're talking about. Yeah. But what I'm saying. Go ahead,
brother. Go ahead.
This is what I'm trying to say to you. They're going to do that. Yeah, it's actually going to happen. But it's good to see people saying what they really feel. I mean, about the subject. I mean, maybe they don't understand it, or maybe they do. As far as they're concerned, they're gonna ride with their guy. They like Kovalev. They're gonna see for it. And if his apology, they're gonna accept it. And certain people are not gonna accept it. Certain people are not gonna forgive him for that. And that's the way things are. They're not gonna forgive him. But at the end of the day, when they meet in the ring, they're going to sell it. And obviously, going back over the media, but Kovalev was not really big in the media. When Bernard Hopkins said that about Joe Calzaghe, it was a little explosion, but it was Bernard Hopkins said that about Joe Calzaghe. It wasn't even...
Here's the difference.
What I'm saying to you, the Kovalev is not really a famous fighter. And on ESPN and them other shows, they don't really cover him anyway. They really cover him anyway. Boxing, like Gail says, you only start covering up, so... If you're a media company, you're not going to look at Kovalev and say we need to highlight on this. But have you noticed here that the media, when it's MMA, anything bad happens in MMA, because they don't like MMA, they go down on it. When it's boxing, it's like they pick and choose, because the sports writers and they choose to cover certain things they want to make boxing look good. So they're not going to, like Gail said, they're not going to put this in the media. Stephen A. Smith and the rest of the guys, they should. But the bottom line, they're not going to, because Kovalev is not really that popular. He's not.
I don't buy that excuse. Excuse because Riley Cooper is not a big name wide receiver. And the same folks made a big deal about what he said, and justifiably so.
Yeah, but I gotta say, in the United States, there's a big gulf between boxing and the NFL.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But the point is, don't sit there and brag about how you will talk about any and everything, but something this egregious comes up. And it has some name, because I know some prominent folks in their field, Stephen A. Smith and Steve Bayless, in their field, some of their colleagues who've been tweeted this tweet from Kovalev, and they have said nothing.
They usually cover it. They usually cover it.
Yeah, but like Gil said, but we gotta look at our sport on the ring. I know we believe our sport is the biggest ever.
And the Hopkins Calzaghe bout, it was covered here in the States. But
what I'm saying to you is that even when he said it, right, the bottom line is it was said it on the journey to the ring. So eventually they were gonna sell it in the ring. This here has been put maybe on the build up to the fight. They might, he said this. Now they might use it as a build up, but the fight has not been signed.
No. Hopkins said this before. He said that way before the Calzaghe fight, and ESPN made sure they made. No. I know this.
They both
were at another fight, and Hopkins got in Calzaghe's face and told him that much before the fight. And ESPN, they made a big event of it then. Why not make a mention of this now? That's my point.
What I'm saying to you is, I understand that, but what I'm saying to you, even though when they said that, it's still, you knew they were online calls to fight. So with this, it's the same thing. They're on course to fight. So in the duration of them going towards the fight, I'm sure they might bring up again to heighten that situation. Oh yeah, he apologized. But like I said to you, Dan Raphael, if you see, go onto Kovalev's page, you'll see Dan Raphael goes, yeah, I support you, Kovalev. It was okay. And this is what I'm saying. So some of the sports writers already forgave him, and they're cool with it. And at the end of the day, they're the writers who kind of make people's views think a certain way. So, and you know, some of the other, like I've covered it on my thing, and like, look, you heard me, Beats, and Natty, and you heard various different opinions. We didn't agree, but it was just, that's the way it is. Everyone's got different opinions about the situation. It's wrong, in my opinion, but I'm not going to hold on to it. I'm just going to wait and see if they get in the ring. If they don't, and see what happens. Well, it's not the sort of thing you want to keep griping on, though. There's more important things than Kovalev. That's what I say.
But the act still was so egregious. And to Dan Raphael's point, why in the aftermath when Kovalev apologized, say, "Oh, I support you," but when he said it, he didn't go out to condemn it. That raises my eyebrows.
Raising my eyebrows straight away as well. He did as well.
That's my point. That's my point when I talk about these mainstream folks. That's my point.
Yeah.
Well, and let's face it. You know, these guys at the higher levels know each other. They know each other personally well. We don't. I've never had any personal interaction with Sergey Kovalev. You know, you'll forgive a friend things that you wouldn't forgive a stranger. I think Dan, otherwise knowing Sergey in every other context, is inclined to give him a pass and write it off as a really bad judgment. I think that it needed to be dealt with a little more harshly than that, and it needs to be held out. And it needs to be held out as an educational moment for a lot of other people. If nothing else, everyone should observe this and say, all right, you know, if the privacy of my own thoughts I feel like that, I need to learn that in the greater society this is unacceptable, and I need to shut the hell up. In this case, what made it so much different, and we've touched on this already, I don't really want to grind it into the ground, but this was not an offhand remark. You know, everybody has made a remark that's just popped out of their mouth, and you think, oh, I didn't, you know, I now realize how that sounded. This was a very deliberate act. Somebody bought that T-shirt, put it on that 4 or 5-year-old or 7-year-old. I couldn't tell how old he was, and that's a far different thing. And took a picture and posted it on social media. I mean, we were escalated step up, 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 up. Now what Kovalev needs to do is get a video shot of him taking that T-shirt and shredding it or burning it, you know, in a very visible, demonstrative way, and saying, you know, I get it. I really do. I get it. I screwed up. This is really offensive. That thing, right. Burn that baby, you know. And where the hell did he get it? You know, I would really like to know. Did he make that T-shirt? Is that being sold somewhere by somebody else? Did someone give it to him? I mean, who the hell would dress a little kid in something like that? Give me a break.
My point exactly.
It's been made, obviously. Like, it's obviously been made. I'm looking closely. I'm not too sure if it's a wrestler. It's obviously a bot, but it's been made, obviously, and they deliberately. Yeah. But like, you're not gonna get, you know, all these things. You know, girl suggestion. You'd love to, you know, you'd love to see it, but it's not gonna happen. It's just gonna be, you know, as far as he's concerned. I've seen other pictures of. He's got pictures. Have you seen the other pictures of on his face? Because I'm on his Facebook. He's got pictures of them. He's enjoying his life. He's going to Mexico. He's just, you know, to him it was as nothing. Oh, my bad, my sorry, and let's carry on. It's not really a big thing, so, you know, it is carries on. So,
hey, Sergey's living the life in Los Angeles. He rides his bike, you know, at Venice Beach every damn day, and yeah, things are good for him, you know, and he needs to wise up a little, and I really would like to know the origin of that thing. I mean, where the hell did he get his hands on that? I'd love to.
I would like to know how does Hopkins feel about in the aftermath, in the immediate aftermath, is him being thrown up there as a pig in that way.
I think Hopkins got more important things to worry about than Sergey Kovalev. I'm more interested to hear, you know, if they interview Don Turner and John Jackson, they have to say. But I'll be honest with you, I think they're just going to say, oh, he apologized and we're going to move on, and that's how it's going to be addressed. I don't think, you know. It's not. It's you know, in the day, it's a sport, and they brought it up, and all it is that you make Stevenson look good, and you know, and that's it. We move on. There's nothing more. There's nothing more to it. as far as I'm concerned. The only problem I have, like you said, is other people condoning it and bringing up it. And this is what you're getting around the white TV, which is to me, it's like, wow. It's like they're actually saying, well, this is what, because he did it, Ali did it, and bringing up other fighters and other people's names. You're like, what? You know, you haven't addressed the situation, but you're bringing all-time greats and other people's names into the equation. Floyd did it. What about that? Adrian Broner did it. I was like, whoa, but I didn't hear anyone put the flags up for Adrian Broner either. I was saying,
and what does it have to do with what Kovalev did?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why can't we just address the situation? Why can't we just address the situation and just say, oh, you know what, it was wrong. Kovalev's out of order. Leave it as that. But no, we have to bring up other fighters and other people into the equation, and I guess that, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's like they justify it. It's being justified. I never justified Hopkins saying them sort of things or anyone. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move. We've had our spiel about that. I had to get that off my chest. Let's move on and talk about other boxing matters. I'll go to you, Mr. Miguel, since you are in the boxing media. You were at the initial press conference for Mayweather-Pacquiao when the fight was announced. Quite frankly, I wrote a blog on this as well. Quite frankly, a hot mess leading up to the fight. As it was only today that the tickets have been sold. This closed circuit information was released. Contract signed with MGM Grand. Why did it take this long, Gail? And what do you have any insight on? Do you have any insight on this nonsense, on this drama, as we are less than 2 weeks away from the fight?
Well, yeah, it is a hot mess. You know, you think with as many lawyers and executives and, you know, money guys around, they could have gotten their shit straight, but apparently not. And Bob Arum is a stickler for detail, and somebody had to hustle up and, you know, actually put this verbal handshake agreement into print, which is no small task. So Bob Arum's going over it with a fine-tooth comb, and he's finding things that, you know, from his recollection and discussion are a little different than he remembers. So they've got to have a discussion about that. Now, it isn't in itself real unusual for fighters not to have signed a contract until literally days before the fight. But in this case, everything has been so hurried up that it also affected the ticket issue. So here we have, and we also have a ticket issue that we need to back up and talk about a little bit, which is that if anybody really thought that the tickets at the MGM Grand were going to all be released en masse to the public, you know, I would like to know what kind of drugs you've got, because they must be good. There was no way even a fraction of those tickets were ever going to be made available to the public. They're going to fill that arena with high rollers, with the casino whales, with the guys who can fly in for this thing, with all the celebrities in the world, with media, with the network folks. There are not going to be many tickets left for the average Joe or Jill. They're just not. So the truth is, it didn't really matter when they printed the tickets, because they're not on sale to anybody in any realistic way. But logistically, they still have to get all those people in and out and know where they're sitting. That's a mess. The tickets did finally go on sale today at 12 noon Pacific time, Vegas time, and sold out in 2 minutes. You know, and some nutty people actually decided they were going to try to get some of those tickets. Didn't happen. And then they were pissed. You know, I mean, I got better things to worry about. And then they turned around, of course, and they're seeing them on the secondary market, you know, for crazy prices, none of which are going to be paid. You know, it's like a Super Bowl. Do you really think you're going to go, you know, log on to Ticketmaster, the average person, and get a Super Bowl ticket? Heck no, it's not happening. Now, what has also been happening is the fact that many of us in the media, many hundreds of us, applied for credentials weeks ago, and we have still not heard who's credentialed, who's going, who's been denied. No idea. You know, for a lot of people in the media, especially who are independent operators, freelancers, videographers, people running blog sites, podcasts, you know, there's a large, large universe of people. God bless every one of us who have kept boxing vibrant and alive. no idea who's going to get in or out. And for these people, the ability to book a hotel room and a flight to Vegas, if you've got to fly, less than 2 weeks out is a major, major hardship. For me, I could drive over there. I was smart enough to bag a hotel room off the strip, refundable, but I would really like to know a little more than a week out whether I'm going to be there or not. It's just a complete and utter mess. But the truth is, it's all about TV. They could have this thing with not one butt in the seat and still be a big success and still make money. And that's the bottom line.
I'll go to you on this one, Sean, and you can follow up as well, Potshot and DJ Boxing Live. Speak to what I can only say, the unprofessionalism that's being displayed here with this entire saga. Speak to the unprofessionalism going on here.
It's nothing new. This has been going on for 6 years between these two camps. So, I don't know why anyone is surprised that it's still going on. As long as we get the fight, all this amounts to a hill of beans. It doesn't mean anything. So, it's the same as camps, comments, and everything else. It's just part of the build-up. So people can read into it and make more out of it than they need to. But, as long as we get the fight, the rest doesn't matter.
Absolutely. As far as I'm concerned, man, all this other stuff like coming out, the tickets not being installed, because of the allocation of seats, Bob Arum holding it down. People invested so much time in it. The fight's gonna happen, and all the other stuff doesn't matter. About in the UK, it's not on box office now. When it's on box office, I'm gonna post it on my thing because one of the other channels actually filmed himself paying. I think it's $100 you guys are paying over there. Over here, it's only It's $19.95 over here. So.
Yes, it's not. Yeah. I've had my. I went off on that.
Wow.
In the UK, you could never. That would never work. Even $19.95, yeah. You're pushing. I'm a diamond. Yeah. Sure, trust me, it's pushing it. $19.95 is pushing it. So you know what I'm saying. But you guys are paying $100 for high def. We get all that in the 1995. But anyway, yeah. So it's not really a big thing. We know the fight's gonna happen because we know all the inside information. Now we wasn't years ago. We wouldn't know. Is it gonna happen? But yeah, it's gonna happen. All this other stuff, it doesn't matter. Unprofessionalism. The thing is, yeah, if you guys you guys don't address the HBO show and the Showtime show. Oh, them shows are amazing. Especially the HBO show was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You put all that investment into the HBO shows, all the press conference, the galas. It's all these little wrinkles. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. They've made a date. You've seen them train. I think they have one more press conference is gonna happen. All this other stuff, it has to happen. There's too much money on the line. Regardless of tickets and all them things there, it doesn't matter. People already put their money online. Talking about pay-per-view over here. We're gonna probably get it next week. So I'm not really concerned with none of that. They're gonna get in the ring. We're gonna find out who's the best, and that's what I'm happy with. I'm not the. Oh yeah, the glove issues, right, Sean? The glove issues. They've sorted all that. All that stuff has been sorted long before. They were more interested in the allocation of seats because as Mayweather in the last fight, Ellaby was managing Mayweather. That's why he sacked him. He was more worried about the seating arrangement because I think last time in the Madonna 2 fight, his family was scattered all around the arena and he liked to have all his family in one place. So in this one now, that's why it was so important for Floyd to make sure his family base, because obviously the Manny Pacquiao army is going to be huge, vast. So you need to know, when you're in the ring, you can look over to see your family so they can give you encouragement. So that was the problem right now. But that's been ironed out. And also the diamond belt with what Solomon's put out as well. So, everyone's invested so much money and time in it. As far as I'm concerned, they've done it in a very professional and order stuff. I can't really criticize anything else. Yes, the ticket should be done, but this event is a rare event. It's the fight of the century. So things are going to be different, not like a normal thing. It's not going to be how we expect it to be. So all this other stuff doesn't matter, in my opinion. I'm done.
Yeah, I'll go to you on this one, Potshot. But for me, I was just thinking that given the significance of the bout, they would have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed beforehand. Potshot?
I think at the end of the day, just as long as they get in the ring, it's probably Mayweather's side actually from what I read, they pretty much they had all the contracts signed. I think it was just Bob Arum once again holding up holding up the show as far as ticket sales and all of that. But pretty much, I'm just ready to. I think it'll all happen. I think it'll all happen, and we're going to see a good fight.
Absolutely. News broke today that Andre Ward has an opponent. Well, actually broke a couple days ago that he will fight Paul Smith on his return to the ring in June in Oakland. The bout will be we heard that we know that he's fighting Paul Smith. The news that broke today is that Rock Nation Sports, his promoter, has signed a deal with BET. And the bout will be aired on BET this bout on June 20th against Paul Smith. I go back to you on this one, Pasha. I'd heard rumors that there was going to be some kind of deal with BET. I thought it was going to be with Heyman. It turns out it's going to be with Rock Nation. BET, they've held bouts before back in the day. I mean, I remember seeing, I was talking on a Facebook channel discussing back and forth. They had a Maurice Blocker bout back in 1992. They held his title bout. They've had other shows in the past. But this is kind of their first real entry into the sport on a long-term basis. Thoughts about not only the opponent for Andre Ward, Paul Smith, but the fact that BET is getting serious with the boxing business.
I think it's a good thing for BET. We'll just see how it goes. As far as Andre Ward's opponent, I just think he's getting a tune-up. I would rather see Andre Ward prefer him to give Froch another shot, but I do understand he hasn't been in the ring in almost 2 years, so I guess he's getting a tune-up as far as Paul Smith goes. But for it to be on BET, that's pretty good. We'll see. Again, we'll just see where that goes. We'll just see where that goes in the future.
I'll go to you on this one, Sean. Your thoughts on this development? We were talking about this beforehand. To Dana's point, I'm not. Of course, we would like to see him against Froch in the rematch, but I'm not mad at the fact that he's fighting Paul Smith. Paul Smith is a decent guy, and being out of the ring so long, Andre Ward, he needs a guy to kind of shake off the rust against.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I think it's a better opponent than we could have hoped for. Actually, I mean, I thought we were going to get somebody like some of the guys that are fighting on Al Heyman's card this weekend. Paul Smith, he's just been in 2 tough fights, championship level fights against Abraham. So I mean, he showed that he doesn't have the biggest power, but he's durable. He can adjust a little, and he comes to win. I mean, he's limited. I mean, who do you think Ward's going to pick on his first fight after 2 years? Obviously, a guy that he can beat and isn't such a big threat. But I mean, it's a good fight, and I mean, we know that he's going to be building up to a big fight against somebody. We don't know who. We don't think he'll go to the UK, so it's probably not going to be Froch. So it probably won't be GGG until 2016. So I mean, in the meantime, we have to see who he'll fight at 168. I mean, I'm not sure what the big name is. Maybe a Groves next fight or somebody, but we know he's going to up his game, incrementally. So I'm happy to see him back in the ring, and we will see what he does and how he looks.
Thoughts on him fighting Paul Smith next, and the deal with BET with Rock Nation.
Is that me you're talking to, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the BET thing is a great thing. Because you know what, Rock Nation, in the intermission they have rappers. Last time they had Fabulous, and in the last show as well they had another rapper as well. So they're trying to catch that media. I think they have another one before. They had another one years ago. I think Ed Lover done one some years ago, 2000 something. I think it was Box Nation or something. Not Box Nation. It was called. I think it was Nation something, and Ed Lover was introducing. So they're trying to market that sort of market.
HBO thing they did that a while ago.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I like that one. That was good, man. So they've always been trying to bridge with hip hop and the young crowd and boxing, which is probably good for some of the young youths to try and get themselves into, maybe try and get into boxing. But obviously, they go into baseball and basketball and other things as well, and football. But what I'm saying is that it's a good look for them to go on BT, and I think you try and catch that market, on ESPN. Maybe the numbers will do pretty good in there as well. I think it will do pretty good numbers. And going Paul Smith versus Finn, I think Paul Smith just lost. People can say I don't think it was a close fight with with Abraham. I don't think so. I think he lost both time handily. But he's a durable opponent and he's a good solid opponent. He didn't get stopped. Abraham's a big banger. So Paul Smith is gonna come. Yeah, he's gonna lose, but he should put a good performance. I think Andre Wood should be able to stop him because James DeGale and George Grove, they've stopped him before. So that was way before. But since then, he seems like he's picked his career up. He's a bit more tougher. So this is a good look for him. But I think it's gonna be a last hurrah for him. I don't think after this fight, I don't think he's gonna do anything. But it's a good solid comeback opponent. For being a left, he's not going to pose too much trouble, but he's going to bring pressure. And Andre, he's going to be a very good fight. I think he's going to be a good fight. Paul Smith's going to try, but I think he's probably going to get stopped with inside 5. I can't see it go any further than that. Body shots will probably take him out. And actually, I think I've got a picture of it actually. I think body shots will take him out, and that fight shouldn't go the distance. So it should be a good opponent for Andre Ward. I can't complain.
There was a fight that I forgot to mention. I'll go to you on this one, Sean. Shunsuke Yamanaka, best bantamweight in the world as far as I'm concerned. I should have mentioned this earlier. I forgot. I mistakenly forgot it. Scored a 7th-round stoppage over Santillan in Japan. Brief analysis right quick of that fight, Yamanaka, and what you see of him in the future. Then I will go back to you on this deal with Andre Ward and Smith and BT, but brief analysis of that fight. I forgot to mention it during the show. I had it in the notes, so briefly talk about that fight, please.
I thought Yamanaka looked good. I mean, he's a strong left-handed fighter, and I mean, his left hand was too much for him, and gradually he just broke him down and stopped him. I mean, I don't think he looked as great as I would like to see him, leading up to a possible Rigo fight. which would be nice, 2 big guys, both champions from competing divisions, 118 and 122, and with Rigo fighting in Japan, I mean, now building his name there, so that fight could be really big. But he did what he needed to do against a good opponent. I mean, I won't say the guy he fought was like great, but I mean, he looked good. But I thought he got hit a little too much, and he looked a little stiff at times.
Gail, your thoughts on this deal with Andre Ward and Smith fight, as well as the deal with BET? Unmute your mic, please.
I think it's a good deal. It suits all the players very well. I mean, it's a good fit. Andre Ward needs a tune-up fight. He's got one. This is the smart thing for him to do. If he was asking me, I would have advised him to take on exactly an opponent like this. So this is good for him. He's fighting in a friendly venue at home in Oakland at the Oracle Arena, where they love him. It'll be a complete Ward crowd. They're so happy to see boxing, they don't care who he's standing up against. They're going to get a chance to see a lot of fights up there, except when Andre wants to fight, and it's been a long time. And this is a good fit for BET. It's a good little toe in the water for them. They're working with somebody they know. They are bringing in an audience that they already have, that are regular BET viewers if they're into rap music or hip-hop music, because you're right, Rock Nation wants to feature some of its artists, so they bring them in between rounds. They could probably rethink having a guy in there wearing a fur hat and chinchilla coat next time, but that's beside the point. And BET knows how to put on live events. They do award shows, they do concerts all the time. Boxing is not that much different. I'll be very interested to see who they get in the broadcast booth, but as far as the actual technical production of it, they'll do a very fine job. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's start to shut down the show by talking about the fights that's happening over the rest of this week. 2 fights happening tomorrow in Chicago on Spike TV. Anthony Durrell defending his WBC super middleweight belt against Badu Jack. Daniel Jacobs defending his version of the WBA middleweight title against Caleb Troll. Sorry if I pronounced his name wrong. I'll go to you on this one, Potshot. Your thoughts on Darrell and Badu Jack? I just personally think that I still can't get the Badu Jack, his loss when he got knocked out in the first round. I can't get that out of my head. I think personally that Anthony Darrell, he's a little bit better than I thought he was. I was impressed with his win over Bika in the rematch especially. I just do not see anything Badu Jack offers that's superior to what Anthony Darrell could do. And the Jacobs bout, I don't know much about his opponent. I've seen a little bit of him, but I see the same thing there. I just don't see anything his opponent can do to give that's that much greater than Jacobs. And I think Jacobs, with his power, that will control the play. So your thoughts on the two fights happening in Chicago on Spike TV tomorrow night?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Don't know too much about those opponents for Anthony Darrell or Daniel Jacobs, but both of these guys are boxer punchers, so they're just gonna. I expect both of them to be aggressive, moving behind their jabs and sort of chopping those opponents down in impressive fashion. Both of those fighters.
I'll go to you on this one, EJ Boxing Live, but I see your little pickup. Who was that fighter? Is that the fighter that Frank Warren is signing?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Obviously, after you finish what you said, just to finish the show. Yeah, that's the new signing by Frank Warren. But to talk about Badu Jack, I think Badu Jack's gonna put up a decent performance. I think it might go the distance. I mean, he did get stopped by a thing, but you know what? It's still probably lack of not really preparation, maybe he's not excited about the opponent and maybe he underestimated the opponent. I don't think he's gonna underestimate thing. And you know what? With Mayweather behind him and the Mayweather gym, I think they feel that they can do something. They're gonna go try and get the upset. They're gonna come real hard. You're gonna see a real good effort by Badu Jack and put on a real good solid performance. But I think he'll go the distance. I think it's gonna be a hard fight, Jarrell, to be honest with you. I think it'll be a hard fight, Jarrell. If Jarrell comes in escalating him, Badu Jack thinking because he's been knocked out, I could do the same. Well, he might find something different. I think Badu Jack's going to put a very solid performance. I think he's probably going to lose by points, by Darrell. But Darrell, I'm telling you, bro, if he underestimates him, it's going to be hard. He ain't no Sakio Bika where you're throwing wide hooks. He's going to, he's coming in with jabs, straights, hooks to the body. It's going to be a completely different fight, and he's quite strong as well. And the Mayweather would love to have another champion in underneath their camp. So they're gonna bring in all that gusto. Don't underestimate. Mayweather's coming in with that. But I think Darrell will probably pull it off. But talking about the guy in the picture, this the new up and coming young England UK sensation flyweight Prince Patel. The last Prince you heard of was Prince Nassim Hamid. This kid is like Prince Hamid, but just turned up the notch. He's he basically he got his contract. He got what's it called? He calls the word. He got one of his premium promoters actually got rid of him. They said he was too vulgar for their audience. I actually went to see him live in the York Hall. He was, I'll tell you, man, when he knocked out his opponent, his first ever opponent. He was showboating, talking the most. When you Americans get hold of him, you're like, where did he come from? Like, he can punch. He's got a little stick of dynamite with both hands. So I protect big things from him. When you see him burst on the scene, remember you heard it first. Prince Patel, man, this guy's gonna do big things in the UK. Whether he wants to kind of unify all the flyweights, I don't think. When I talk to him, I'm gonna see if he actually looked at some of the flyweights. But he's got a real good domestic rival against Charlie Edwards Jr. There's some really things said backwards and forwards about basically Charlie Edwards' dad was a boxer, and Prince Patel said he'll knock out him and his dad. So knockout. That's the sort of things he's been saying. So we'll see what we say, but you know what? It's a great signing. He's been signed today by Frank Warren. Prince Patel, watch out for him. So that's my take on Badu Jack and Prince Patel being signed by Frank Warren's Box Nation. So check him out.
Do me a favor. Number one, is any of his fights on YouTube?
No. This is the thing. When he fights next, I'll be there. Trust me, I'll be there. But it's gonna be it's a Box Nation fighter now. So Any of these fights, you're gonna see him on a big undercard. Maybe Billy Joe Saunders and Chris Eubank Jr. winning the undercards. But when you see this guy, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, he's mouthy. It's like when you first time I said mouthy, it's like whoa. It's like whoa. And he's like a viral sensation on YouTube. Like he just straight away. So you'll see, man. The Prince and Frank, they're back together. That's the two Prince. He signed Prince Nassim Hamid, and now he's got a new Prince, Prince Patel. So let's see where he goes.
And could you do me a favor and share your interview with him, and I can so I can put it on my blog, please?
Yeah, when I get the interview, hopefully they said they got a press conference. He told me his manager said they got a press conference coming up soon, and that's going to be very entertaining for you guys watching the UK and America. And then after that, I'm going to interview a straight interview. After that, I have an interview exclusive where it'll just be me and him, the Prince and EJ and the Prince. Yeah, going toe to toe. See how that's gonna go. It's gonna be trust me, it's gonna be good. It should be a good interview.
Cool for the EJ Boxing Live and the Prince. And be sure to share that with me, and I'll throw it on my blog and share it all over my social media avenues. So I look for that. EJ Boxing Live interviewing Prince Patel. You heard him first. He's the next up and coming on the UK scene. I'll go to you on this one. Gail, Sean, talk about the doubleheader in Chicago. Andre Durrell Jack and Daniel Jacobs defending his belt against Trio. How do you pronounce it? Excuse me. If I'm butchering his name, I'm sorry.
I think it's Truax.
Truax, okay. Any of you, Gail, Sean, any of you can chime in.
I can see we're all extremely enthusiastic about this. These are the kind of make-work fights that, pad guys' records, and I mean, they're not complete gimmies. They manage to get opponents in there to just barely avoid it being, a complete gimme. Durrell will probably have a little more trouble than Jacobs will, but I don't foresee either of them having a whole lot of trouble. I don't necessarily foresee the fights even going the distance. But, it's a chance for fans. I'm always happy when fans in the United States, somewhere other than L.A., Vegas, and New York, get a chance to see live boxing. So we have an event in Chicago. I'm all about it.
Sean?
I think I echo her sentiment that, the opponents are, I don't know if they're deserving for championship-level fights, both of them. Neither one of them has done much. Jack or Truax, but they're young, up-and-coming guys who are given a shot. So we will see. The one positive we can put on it is that they're both fighting lower-level champions. At 160, Jacobs not top 5, or very top 5, and at 168, the same could be said for Durrell. He's the not-so-good brother. So but they're both stories. We're going to push the cancer story, which, it's an interesting doubleheader because both of them are cancer survivors and world champion. So, that's going to be the big PR push behind them. And, nothing against them. Take your money and do what you can with your careers. All the power to them. But, I agree. I think both of these fights should be pretty easy, and I'd be surprised if either one of them went past 6 rounds.
Let's go to the other fights of the weekend. Doubleheader on HBO. Headlined, of course, by Vladimir Klitschko, fighting in the U.S. for the first time in 7 years, as he's fighting Brian Jennings. On the undercard, a very interesting bout, as far as I'm concerned. Saddam Ali fighting Francisco Santana. I'll go to you on this one, EJ. I want to talk about the undercard first. Ali, undefeated fighter, rising welterweight prospect / contender, defeated Carlos Abregu, stopped him in 9 rounds last August, I believe. Impressive. A lot of people thought he would lose to Abregu, but he fought well. Fighting in Santana, you look at his record, pretty nondescript, pretty average. But if you've seen him fight, I think he's an improving fighter. EJ Boxing Live. He scored a first-round stoppage over undefeated Carlos Mina his last time out. Defeated Eddie Gomez, rising contender. A couple fights before that. Beat up a faded George Chimalcine. Beat Eddie Gomez, as I mentioned. He also beat Freddie Hernandez. So I think Santana is an improving fighter, and I think personally, I think he will give Saddam Ali a decent tussle here.
Well, he may do. I mean, every time he stepped up, it's kind of thing because he's lost twice against Kareem Mayfield, and also he lost against Jamal Charlo, and he's got a draw against Julian Williams. Julian Williams as J-Rock, innit? And so every time he steps up, it's like we kind of like the Eddie Gomez one with his is good. That's good. He won a nice decision on that one. So it's a good step up for him. But Saddam Ali is something special, you know. So I think you know, it's going to be a hard test. But if Saddam Ali wants to go anywhere, he has to try and get through this. And this is the first, to me, notable name for Saddam Ali to probably try and get past. Because I'll tell you what, Francisco Santana is going to give him some trouble, man. So that should be a really good fight. And to be honest with you, whoever gets past this fight should go on and try and win a world title at that weight class, man, for real. But at least could try and contend at the weight limit. But you know, the welterweight, everyone knows, but the welterweight division is one of the hardest in boxing. So you're gonna have to take your time with that. But I think Saddam Ali should probably get. A lot of people are very high on him as well. You know, with his 21 wins with 30 knockouts, yeah, he's all right. He's not really a big banger. He can outbox you, but he's okay. You know, Brooklyn is obviously in the Barclays Center. People are going to be high on him. And like what reiterate what Sean said, both of them guys are cancer survivors. No, that's a different fight actually. It's a different card. But talking about the Rowe and Jacobs, yeah, both cancer survivors. A good look. You know, it shows you that, you know, people and families who had cancer, that you can try and fight back. So that's a good look for that. But Saddam Ali, for me, it should be a good fight. Since
we are pressed for time right now, I'm gonna move right on to talk about the main event of that card. Vladimir Klitschko, the heavyweight champion of the world, fighting Brian Jennings. Fighting going to be in New York City for Klitschko's multiple belts, and I'll go to you on this one, pot shot, and then you can follow up. Gail, do you give Jennings any kind of a shot here? Because for me, skill-wise, I just don't see how Jennings, a smaller guy, can get past that size, that length, and the way that Klitschko looked at his last time out. He looks to be an improving fighter. I just don't see it from Jennings at all, unless he lands a big punch.
Exactly, I don't see it either. But it's always with all Klitschko opponents, because you know he jabs cross, jabs cross. Jabs cross some more, and then now he's starting to kind of hook off of the jab. So the only chance Jennings has is if he sort of tries to, if he, like every opponent with Klitschko, just have to try to get inside and hope you land something lucky, get lucky. But I don't see this. I don't see Jennings doing anything to Klitschko, unless he, again, with all Klitschko fighters, it's pretty easy to make a prediction because it's the same thing. You have to try to get inside of the Klitschko jab, and if you don't do it, he's gonna jab and then hit you with the right hand and in the night. But we'll see.
Yeah, your thoughts?
You know, we had an interesting conference call this morning with George Foreman, who talked about this fight. And he thinks Klitschko's absolutely unbeatable. He'd like to see him get in against Deontay Wilder, but he saw it as just simply, you know, Brian Jennings just not being up to it, and talked about, in particular, he spoke quite in a detailed way about his height and the way he leans on and looms over his opponents. You know, until he gets somebody in there with him who can see eye to eye with him, you know, he's just got that enormous advantage. And in his later years in particular, he's willing to simply lean on his opponent as long as the referee will allow him to do it, and some of them do, which makes for not a real fun fight to watch. He's won ugly several times in the last couple of fights. You know, you do that and you really tire someone out when you're having to carry 200+ pounds of another guy around with you like that. And that's what he's going to do to Jennings. He'll He'll lean in on him. He'll get too close for Jennings to really get off a shot, lean all over him until the referee pulls him apart. We'll waltz for a few rounds until he wears him out, and then he'll hit him, and it'll be done. Wilder's the guy we all want to see him in with. We all know it. Klitschko's going to get a few more fights in the U.S. under his belt before he really risks it on that kind of stage with Wilder. I think he's going to keep Wilder at bay for at least a few more fights. He'll have to clean out the rest of the sort of top 10 contenders, and then he'll give Wilder his chance. But this fight, the only real interest in it is the venue. That's about it.
Now, the interesting thing was Shannon Briggs jumping in there. Let's go, champ. Let's go, champ. Let's go, champ.
Yeah.
EJ Boxing Live, Sean, your thoughts on this bout, Klitschko and Jennings?
Well, I'm going to shock everyone. I'm going to shock and amaze everyone. I'm going for the upset. I either going by Jennings by points or Jennings by knockout. And I tell you what.
Wow.
You heard it first. So when we go next week, this is what boxing is about. So we have to look closely on these little details here. So I always do this little thing. I remember the same thing when I parallel this when Shane Mosley went against De La Hoya in the first fight. Now coming into that fight, they both had similar speed, but what it was with Shane Mosley, he had a reach advantage on De La Hoya, and it made a big difference so he could get away with little things. Jennings has the reach advantage on Klitschko. He has good hand speed, and if you're talking about straight punches, if you can hit on the guy before he hits you, Klitschko's going to be in trouble. Jennings has a reach inch of 84 inches. Klitschko is 81, so he's got 3 inches on him, right? So he'll be able to get his punches, and he'll have to move the ring. So he'll be able to use his shots and get off. He ain't really a big banger, but you don't need to be in heavyweight division. All you need to be able to is touching a guy. You can touch Klitschko. Klitschko don't like being touched. You see his face, he's giving me meltdown. Yeah, Klitschko be looking to land his punches, right? Klitschko, this ain't going to be infighting, I feel. I feel it's going to be outfight. What Klitschko's want to try and do is close the ring down and stalk Jennings and try and get in where he can land his punches. If Klitschko can land his punches before Jennings, it's going to be night-night for Jennings. Bye-bye, Jennings. But I don't think that way. I see Jennings using the fixed speed. It's a big ring. Remember, he's American as well. It's in, it's Philadelphia. He's bringing a New York crowd, and he's going to upset the world, beating Klitschko, beating down Klitschko. Klitschko is going to be very surprised. And then I actually talked to Klitschko's trainer, Ali Bashir, and it's exactly what Gal said. They dismissed him. Jennings can never win. I goes, why not? Why can't he win? God, it's not good enough. I said, well, he's undefeated. He's been who he is. He showed movement. He showed different things. He's going to come in the right game plan. He's never lost. Why can't he win? He goes, nah, he's not. He completely dismissed it. But I'm telling you, these are the sort of things in boxing what we live for. And I'm telling you, you're going to see a fight of a night that everyone's going to sit down and go, wow, I didn't see that coming. But EJ Boxing said it first. I see Jennings, just the reach. All I'm going by is just the reach advantage. I like it. Anyone knows in boxing, if you can hit the person first before they hit you, it's going to be trouble. You have to deal with it. You don't have to be a hard hitter. Just touch the guy. Just see what's going on. Eventually, if you see raindrops and it hits, eventually a stone will break. So see if Jennings can keep it up against Klitschko, but I think he can. So I'm thinking Jennings going to probably win by stoppage, right? So I'm covering my back or even by the distance. But everyone else I'm probably lopsided. Everyone else has probably got Klitschko completely wiping him out and killing him. Fine. But I'm going to go with the long shot. I'm going to actually put 5. I'm going to put some money down on it. And I should have put money down. I should have put money down on the Chavez fight because I knew Fonfara was going to wipe him out.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was
what's happening here.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna try something. I got a response to that. Wait a minute. See if y'all can hear it. Wait a minute. Be quiet, everybody. That because EJ Boxing Live dropped a bomb on everybody with that announcement. So
you know why? Because he's feeling frisky because he picked Fonfara. That's why. All I can say is, even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while.
Oh my God. The thing is,
gonna happen.
Nah, you know the thing is, I was looking like performances and build up, but these little things you could see, like when Lennox Lewis was going to fight Hassan Bratman, everyone could sense kind of thing that Lennox Lewis didn't train, he was in the films and this and that. Klitschko's coming. I'm just going by maybe they're underestimating him and the reach advantage. That's one can really go by. Anything else?
Well, he may have reach, but Klitschko's gets back that 4 inches in height. We've got a 6'7" fighter and a 6'3" fighter. So
he can still, if you find punch for punch, he has to punch upwards, but he can still land on him. He's still going to land on him. If Klitschko lands on Jennings, Jennings could go, but Jennings hasn't. Jennings been hurt. I think he hurt by what's his name? Bowie, whatever. Won the fight. I think he got hurt in that fight, but he's got good foot speed. He's got good legs. He can move around, and it's not going to be easy target like Pulev. He's not going to stand there and get hit with a big leap and left hook. Yeah, he's not. So let's see.
Well, no question about that.
No, exactly. So he's the most agile fighter that Klitschko's faced since maybe Chris Bird. Yeah. So.
But that's a matter of degree. I mean, really.
Hey, listen, we're gonna find out. They're gonna fight on Saturday. We're gonna find out. So that's. I'll drop the bomb, like Michael said. I'll drop the bomb on everyone. So when we come back, I'm eating crow next week. Or maybe I might.
If that happens, I will begin the show giving you the floor to brag, to boast, to do whatever you want for as long as you like. I don't see it, but you're entitled to your opinion. Let's go to Sean on this one. Your thoughts on the fight, Sean?
I think this is a fight about distances, and Klitschko controls distance better. I mean, he controls the far distance with his jab and his straight right, and he controls inside. Once a guy gets inside, he just smothers him, uses his weight, tires him out, and then stops him. I mean, the problem with this guy, and I mean, he's a skilled fighter, and everybody knows that, and we all expected great things from him. But I think it's too early. He hasn't fought enough quality fighters, and I don't think he's prepared for this kind of step up. I mean, his best win is against Perez, and him and Perez and Klitschko are different kinds of fighters. So, I mean, I don't know how he's going to cope with the giant in Klitschko. I mean, he does have skill, and that's to his advantage. He has a long jab, and he has movement. But I think his movement is going to get worked out of him by the 6th round. And then by the 9th round, he's going to be surviving, and he'll be lucky if he goes 12.
Wow. I excuse me. I gotta bring that sound back because EJ Boxing Live. He just went there and just.
You have to round things up, man. Yeah, I can. It's not like a random pick. That's the way I see it. So let's see, man. Let's see. I don't hear everyone else's opinions. I'm maybe by myself, but that's the way I see it. Go ahead. Anyone else? Man's trying to find the bomb sounds, isn't it?
Yeah. Trying to find the bomb. That bomb has dropped. But to your credit, man, you're willing to go out on a limb. You're on the record. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I actually think it's a safe pick for anyone. Look, I'm still reeling over the Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas thing. I'm still bothered about that one. Look, man. Look, there's some upsets now and again. There's some real good upsets if you're a betting guy. Boxing, gambling goes in, and you shouldn't really. But this one here, to me, look, he's American. If you're gonna do it, this is the best time to do it. Other than that, maybe people don't give him a shot, but you can come underneath the radar and surprise Klitschko because he may be looking over you and not really interested, not really thinking. But I'll tell you, man, you gotta remember, he's, you're fighting in America, so if you're gonna try and do it, you can try and do it. You can try and do it. So the reach of fighting.
No offense, but what we American fans want to see is to see Klitschko fight Wilder. Save him for Wilder.
Yeah, but you might have. What about this? What about this? You could have an all-American fight. You could have Jennings versus Wilder in a unification for one American fight. You didn't think that would sell? You don't think that would be bigger? If he knocked down Klitschko,
No.
Everyone wants to see the two big guys eye to eye.
Have an American, all-American bout, man. I could happen, but.
Bert Sugar described it best 20 years ago. American fans like big houses, big cars. Excuse me for saying this, Gil. I apologize. Big-chested women and big guys beating up on each other.
America's not the only place like that as well. And the UK think that way as well. So.
That fight should have been the first fight, actually. I mean, Wilder and this guy and the winner fighting Klitschko. That's why I say it's too early. This guy hasn't been tested. So that's the problem he has. I mean, Klitschko's grabbing him early before he has a chance to really develop and get ring-worn and seasoned. And, I think that's going to play to his disadvantage hard. You know, who do I want to see Klitschko fight? Tall,
30 years old, man.
saucer, quick, fury.
Oh,
39 years old.
Oh,
He's
dear.
39 years old, you know. He's seen
The
seen
most skilled heavyweight.
He's seen better days, man. He's seen better days, boy. Like it's a harder opponent for a young guy who moves around. He's 30. He's not been hit. He's fresh. So we're seeing it. We'll see. We'll see. But he should, you know, if he gets through, he gets through. Fair enough, though.
Before we shut things down, I'll go say before we shut things down, I want to give Potshot a final word here since he is the guest and first time here on the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. Final word on this fight, Potshot.
It was just a great experience to be on the Pound for Pound report.
I was going to say any final words on this fight, on this particular fight.
Final words on the
EJ, he shot me with that.
Well, I give EJ credit, and he brought up some valid points too of why you know, Jennings have a shot. And like EJ said, you know, this is boxing, anything can happen. But I just, in my opinion, I think you know, Klitschko, he's just gonna stay behind his jab and then deliver the right cross so the end of the night.
I think we're gonna shut things down on that note. I will go around the table here with our guests. Ladies first, of course. Gail Falkenthaler, Communities Digital News. For folks who want to talk boxing and whatnot, let the folks know where they can find you.
My regular column appears in Communities Digital News, which is an online news organization out of Washington, D.C., and that's com with 2 M's, Digi, D-I-G-I News, comdiginews.com, and occasional columns for the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. Right now, part 1 of my 2-part series is on the site with the various predictions on the big fight coming up next week. And if I am there, we will talk about it. If I'm not there, we will talk about it. It's kind of like how this show runs. And I've had a lot of media workout days lately, so I've got a lot of video in the hopper. A good session with Canelo Alvarez on Monday this week down here in San Diego. Oscar De La Hoya was there as well, who was in a damn good mood, really chatty mood. Yeah, and quite a few of the young guys who are fighting next week at the Fantasy Springs Golden Boy event next week. You've got Antonio Orozco, Carlos Molina. They were all there as well, and Mercito Hesta, who's you know, sort of thought he was the next coming of Nonito Donaire and kind of had some problems. So he's trying to get his career back on track. And it's going to be an event up at the Summit on Monday with Triple G putting on a little show. But I'll tell you who I'm looking forward to seeing and hoping he's there is the young Russian cruiserweight who won a bout on last week, Murat Gassiev. He looks like he's a bigger version or wants to be a bigger version of Triple G. And he's clearly been watching Golovkin in the gym a lot up there. He emulates him. He's 21-0 and only 21 years old at cruiserweight. So it's an interesting prospect to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Gail, for joining us. Part 2, part 1 of your 2-part series on Mayweather Pacquiao was this week. Part 2, you will see it on the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Monday of next week. So look for that. Sean Newton, for those who want to talk boxing or otherwise, let the folks know where they can find you.
I'm always on the YTBC, on a lot of the groups on Facebook as well. You know, Hatman, Wingy, and many others. So I'm always around talking boxing. A guy to watch, there's the other Russian cruiserweight guy. I can't remember his name. Starts with like M. Ooh. The dude is a monster, and his power is unbelievable. He hit a guy hand, and the guy just died, dropped out.
Oh.
I can't remember how you say his name, but it won't be hard to find. His fight was all over YouTube after, like, last weekend, I think. He fought on that big Yugoslavian, not Yugoslavian, but...
I know you're talking about,
yeah. Absolutely. EJ Box. Okay, EJ Boxing Live. Let the folks know where they can hit you up and remind the folks of one more time of the fighter you mentioned who you will interview soon.
Oh yeah. You talking about Prince Patel? Yeah, a big star flyweight in UK, up and coming. So he's you guys need to check out for him. And so you can catch me EJ Boxing live all over YouTube. Just type it in, and hopefully I'll post that interview with me and Prince Patel. Yeah, and make sure another fighter as well in the cruiserweight division, Alexander Usyk. He's Alex Bashir's charged for the cruiserweight in the cruiserweight division. Hopefully fighting Marco Hook sometime this year. So he won the heavyweight. He was a gold medalist in the heavyweight in London in 2012. So Alexander Usyk, he's on the cusp of fighting Marco Hook. So make sure you guys check out. He's gonna try and go for the title. But yeah, EJ Boxing live all over YouTube. I have a podcast on Sundays. For if you guys want to jump in, and we talk about what happens on Sundays as well. So you guys try and check me out. EJ Boxing live.
Yeah, check out for his interview with Prince Patel, and also he's doing a lot of shows and whatnot in the lead up to Mayweather Pacquiao on May 2nd. So watch out for that. Pot Shot Boxing. We asked you before where they can hit you up. I'm gonna ask you again as we close down the show for folks where they can look you up to talk about boxing or anything else.
All right. Again, this is Dana Miller of Pot Shot Boxing. You can, for all my boxing news and posts, you can go to the website. It's www.potshotboxing.com. I also have a YouTube channel. It's just basically Dana Miller. You can also hit me up on Facebook, www.facebook.com/potshotboxing. Twitter, www.twitter.com/potshotboxing. Hit me up on Pinterest, www.pinterest.com/potshotboxing. All of those social media entities. Just talking about boxing. Tomorrow I'm gonna write a post, but it's basically gonna be on Klitschko and Jennings. It's just the prediction. It's gonna not be too much to talk about, but I'm still gonna put the post out on my website.
But yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us, and I'm sure I'm gonna have you back on again to talk boxing again. Thank you for joining us tonight.
All right.
And for those who want to know, y'all, no problem, brother. For those who want to find out pound for pound boxing, y'all know where it is. The blog page, P4P Boxing Report. .wordpress.com, where you can find the links to find us all over the internet, the interwebs, and I mentioned all the other avenues. We got a Pinterest board as well, so just check out Pound for Pound Boxing Report on Twitter. I'm on Pinterest, POUND, the number 4 POUND. Just check out the blog page for articles written by myself, Gail Falkenthal, as well as Kayla M. Lewis, KBC Live on T Plus, P4P at P4P Boxing Report on Twitter. So again, check out the blog page. You will have links to find us everywhere, all over social media, all over the interwebs. Next week, we'll do a recap of Klitschko Jennings, do a recap of Saddam Ali Santana, recap as well as the Durrell Badu Jack and the Daniel Jacobs fight against Truax. And we will do that, but the majority of the show will be devoted to doing a preview, full-scale preview of Mayweather Pacquiao happening May 2 is going down. We're doing a special show talking exclusively about that. Vasil Lomachenko will be fighting on that card too, as well as Leo Santa Cruz. And I got let's just say I'm upset with him. He's ducking guys. I would just put it out there, he's ducking guys. But the majority of the show next week will be devoted to Mayweather Pacquiao. Going to try to have some special guests along with the usual cast of characters. So again, next week on the Pound for Pound Box Report will be all Mayweather Pacquiao, a special preview of that. So that's the deal. Again, for Pot Shot Boxing, thanks for joining us. For Gail Falkenthal, EJ Boxing Live, my UK brother, EJ Boxing Live, Sean Jones live from Taiwan. I am your host, Michael. This has been another episode of the Pound for Pound Box Report. You guys have a good evening. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.